Welcome to this episode of Your Property Business, the video podcasts that help you get the most out of your own property business.
Let's assume listeners and viewers have kind of, grabbed hold of that concept and thinking, well, there's more to be had out of my investment. What are the sort of the stages or the 5 or so stages or tips that you can give to listeners and viewers about the steps they might go through when thinking about maximizing through design?
Yeah. I'll say the most important step, depending on the size and the complexity of the project, this applies mainly to developments, commercial residential projects, and also HMO conversions. So this step is space planning. Okay. So you're only going to be working in 2D. Either you're working with the architect if it's a larger scheme, more complex project, or I'll be working myself on 2D plans if it's an HMO or commercial to residential unit.
Yeah.
So you start with the end in mind. Who's going to buy these units? Who's going to rent them? So the end consumer in mind. You start designing accordingly, and the design affects the internal configuration of a property, basically. So space planning will be the most important factor, especially in these types of strategies.
Okay.
Then we'll be moving on. The second, I would say, is working in 3D, which are the main areas in the house. Let's say designing your kitchen, designing your bathrooms, big volumes in a property, or where the bed is going to be, which size bed, which size sofa, sitting for how many, and so on. Yeah. So you, in a way, you go from big to small. You have the property, you have the units, you have each room, and then you go to smaller items. Your 3 items. So let's say in a kitchen, you're gonna have 3 tall units or 2, if that serves the customer or not, and which way. And then this will give you your flow in the property, and then how you're gonna function, how you're gonna move from one place to the other, and so on. And this leads to the third aspect, which is going to all the technicalities of everything, how everything works, and then your plans, your elevations, and service drawings. So it becomes very critical at that point, because now you decided, let's say, you have this kitchen, but the building thing needs to know where everything goes, your plumbing, electrics, sockets, and so on. Depending on your sofa going to have, or where it's going to be positioned, you have the exact size for the sofa, and then you want to make sure that your sockets, they're not behind the sofa, and then the right place for you to use it.
Right, okay. Yeah.
These sort of things. You're going to have a bedside table. Where's that going to be positioned? At which height? Are you going to be able to plug in your charger right away, or are you going to have to go in awkward position to do that? So this is very practical at that point. Having that agreed, I'll leave you to specification. So, and also give you an indication. You can cost at that point. You can, I'll say, we're having this kitchen in this finish, this flooring, this bathrooms, and so on. So early on in the process, you can cost everything. So there's no room, there's no ifs, and then you start looking around, ask for quotations, so on later on in the process, and then trying to minimize all the unknowns, all the questions early on in the process. So it's quite clear what you're going to have, how it's going to look, how much it's going to cost, and then how you're going to implement it. And the fifth one I would say is when it comes to more cosmetic renovations, is like a single let or a service accommodation unit, which you're not going to move walls. You have the kitchen in place, you have the bathrooms and so on. There's still so many things to do. We can increase how much you can rent, how much you can sell. They're within the same bracket of pricing. You can put together a mood board which is going to have an impact to who is going to buy and rent.
Okay.
it is not, it's such a small difference in price from painting the wall white to a really nice color. It's the same thing applies to, let's say, do a feature wall for wallpaper, or do some really interesting, have an interesting media wall, or just a wall unit. And this will definitely stand out from the mass majority of the products you see there. And so this goes back on you saving time, renting that property a lot faster, instead of you waiting, let's say, 3 weeks to rent. You can rent, you can have a queue of potential tenants in the first week. So as we know, it's time is money. So it's the speed, how you're going to rent out, having less voids, and then you potentially charging more for that unit.
There's so many
So I'd say these are the main 5 points, like going from big to small is 2D, 3D, technical drawings, specification, and then all these finished items.
So a couple of that's a fantastic sort of flow of how that process might work.